It can sometimes feel like you're stuck in your music career. You're not really going anywhere. You're not seeing much progress. How do you achieve your overall goal? Well, let's talk about that. Setting goals in your music career are essential because every goal you set, you make sure your actions are working towards achieving that goal. You can set weekly, monthly, yearly, 10-year goals that you wish to achieve, and they can all be related to different parts of your music career. But how do you go about actually achieving them? How do you know whether the actions you're doing are getting you closer to your goal? And how do you know whether your goal is actually realistic? Because right now, you might feel a little bit stuck. You might find you're not progressing much, and that can be fixed if you're following a few of these tips. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how you can set yourself goals that are realistic but challenging, and then how you can go about actually achieving them. The actions you're taking to achieve those goals, you need to measure how successful they actually are. So in this video, I'm going to teach you all about that. But before anything else, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure to hit that bell so you're notified when we upload, because we're uploading 3 times a week now. And I'm actually doing this video because a previous video I did, I asked if people wanted to see this, and a lot of you voted yes. Even if you're not an artist, you should have goals. Everybody should have goals in life, no matter what you're doing, because it means you have something to work towards. It means you know what you're doing every day is working towards achieving something. But it's especially the case in the music industry because it's so oversaturated. There are so many artists out there, so how are you meant to succeed if you don't even know what you want to achieve? We receive countless DMs from people saying that they're stuck, they're not progressing, they're not doing anything with their music career. And I say, okay, what do you want to achieve? And they don't actually know. They just say they want to be successful, but everyone's definition of success is different. One artist's idea of success could be to get X amount of streams. Another artist's idea of success could be to sell out an arena tour. Everyone's idea of success is different. So the first thing you need to do is work out how successful you want to be and what your definition of success actually is. If you just want to do music as a full-time job, that could be your definition of success. You would feel successful if you were doing music full-time, you were making a living from it. Whereas other people might be a full-time musician right now, so they don't really see themselves as successful. They want something else. So work out what your idea of success is and then measure how successful you are right now. Some of you may not have even started putting out music yet, and that's completely fine. That doesn't mean you're not successful. It just means you haven't really started your journey yet. But now you know what success is for you and what level you're at. You need to set some goals. We'll start with your overall macro goal. A macro goal is your dream overall goal for the whole of your music career. And this needs to be big. There is no point setting a macro goal that is very easily obtained. So for example, say your macro goal was to achieve a set amount of followers. If that was the case, then it would have to be a massive number because achieving followers can be quite simple to do. The same with streams. So I wouldn't suggest setting your macro goal as a number thing. Set it more about perhaps achieving a platinum record, maybe even charting, maybe doing an arena tour, something that only the biggest artists in the world are doing. Make it specific to you, make it specific to what you want to achieve, what that overall dream is for you, because I bet the majority of you know what it is right now. You know what your dream is in your music career. Now you've got that macro goal, write it down. You can write it down in the middle of the page. And then from here, circle it. And then around it, you're gonna write down your micro goals. These micro goals are easier to do, but at the same time, they're working towards that macro goal. So say, for example, your macro goal is to set out an arena tour. Your first micro goal might be to play live. You may not have even played live yet. And then another one might be to sell out a local venue. The next one might be to sell out a whole tour. You'll see that all of these micro goals work their way up to a macro goal. So make sure you set as many as you possibly can. And then you can be achieving these micro goals weekly, monthly, yearly. Once you've done that, you'll be able to set actions that you need to take to achieve these goals. So for example, let's use the arena tour one. Your macro goal is to sell out an arena tour. Your micro goals are to play live, to sell out a local venue, to play a whole tour. So your first micro goal is to book a gig. So your actions should be create an EPK, send it to venues, go to venues and see if you can book yourself in. Perhaps it's even sort out your live set because you may not even have one yet. Now you've got all those actions, you can start working towards achieving that goal. Because how many of you have actually done this? How many of you have set a goal and have started working towards it, rather than just releasing singles as often as possible, started running social media ads, following our tips, but you don't really know why? And if that's you, that's completely fine. You just now need to make sure you're setting these goals, because it's going to help you progress. I always recommend having that piece of paper that has those goals in your pocket, in your wallet, in your guitar case, so you can reflect on it. You can look back and see, have I actually got any closer to achieving these goals? Reflect on them as much as you can. I know some people that wake up in the morning and read their goals aloud, or read them in their head, so they know, starting the day, what they want to achieve. But you may have done this, or you might be working on this, and you might be thinking, this isn't impacting my career at all. I'm not seeing the results. Well, there are a few things that a lot of artists, a lot of people in general are doing wrong, and that's why they're not achieving their goals. The first one is that goal is too realistic and not challenging enough. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video that it shouldn't be followers, it shouldn't be streams. And the reason for this is because they're quite easy to obtain. For example, you could so easily get added to a Spotify editorial playlist if you're following our guide on how to submit to the editors. And I'll make sure to link that below because Alex has done a full video on that. And if you do, you could automatically get millions of streams. And then you've hit your goal. And then you're just spending the rest of your career thinking, what do I do next? The same as social media followers. Imagine you did an influencer marketing campaign and you paid an influencer to shout you out, or you got a free one. And if you're wondering how you do that, I'll link that video below too. And then you just immediately got a couple of 100,000 followers. Then you've achieved your goal as well. So your goal needs to be dramatic. It needs to be massive. And what I want you all to do right now is comment below what your macro goal is. Comment what that massive overall goal is for you that you wish to achieve, because I want to hear what they are. The next thing that a lot of artists aren't doing is they're writing down that goal, but then they're never referring back to it. Have that piece of paper on you. Put it somewhere that you're going daily. You could even stick it on your shower door. The next thing that a lot of artists aren't doing is creating a timeline. So we mentioned having micro and macro goals. So that macro goal is an overall goal that you want to achieve at the end of your music career, or as soon as possible, but your micro goal should be set within a timeline. So for example, let's go back to the arena tour one. If you want to book your first gig, set a timeline for that. Set yourself a deadline that you want to book that for, because otherwise you're going to become lazy. You're going to be coming home from work every day thinking, God, yeah, I do need to book that, but I've still got next weekend to do it. And that's when you're going to get stuck in a pattern of just never taking actions to achieve your goal. So create a timeline for those micro goals, because then that macro goal is going to come around pretty soon. That leads nicely into actually dedicating time to getting that goal, because I know a lot of you probably do have full-time jobs. So you have to dedicate a set amount of time to the music. But there's no point dedicating all your time to the music and then not dedicating any time to anything else. So you might have to dedicate time to your marketing. You might have to dedicate time to your content creation, to getting it to a distributor, to playing live events. Dedicate time to all of the areas that need to be to get your goal. Create a schedule, basically, outlining how many hours you need to dedicate to each thing. And obviously, if there are certain areas which will get you closer to your goal quicker, then focus on them more. So the live event example, if you want that arena tour, you might have to spend a little bit more time focusing on your live events rather than your content creation. Another reason that you might not be achieving those goals is because you might be working hard, but you're not working smart. And I think this is a really clever one. I know a lot of people that believe in this hustle culture. You need to work as many hours as you possibly can, sleep as little as possible, but it's not really how you're going to succeed. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be worried that you're not having any time for friends and family or your social life, really. And you're going to end up hating the music, because if you're forcing yourself to spend time on something because you want to succeed, you're not having fun with it. So you need to learn how to work smart and not just work hard constantly. Because there are some musicians in this industry that have worked a lot less hours than you, but they're doing a lot better. And that's because they're working smart. So what I suggest doing for this one is looking at your goals, working out how you can do it, and then learning as much as you possibly can about that area. So for example, if you're subscribed to this YouTube account, you might know that we have YouTube videos, we have podcasts, we have a blog, we have our Instagram. All of that is educating on marketing in the music industry. So if you wanted to grow your fan base quickly, you wanted to have a really engaged social media following, get your music out to the masses, you'd watch our content and you're using our tips to promote your music. But if you want to learn more about production and how you produce, you'd probably be watching different YouTube videos. So work smart, not just hard. The final reason you might not be achieving your goals is because the music isn't good. This sounds obvious, this sounds savage, but if you keep failing, you keep not progressing, it's probably because the music isn't great. And a lot of artists do get stuck at this point. They think the listeners aren't relating to my music, or the consumer is wrong. but the market is never wrong. The market takes in stuff that they want to for a reason. So if your music isn't doing well and you're doing everything outside of the music well, then perhaps the music isn't quite there yet. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope if you suggested I did this video, you liked it. And if you want to hear more about music marketing, learn more from us, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified when we upload. And we'll be back soon with more music marketing advice.